Let's talk about that narcissist's most dangerous lie. They lie about everything, right? Narcissists lie as a way of life. They lie about all kinds of stuff, including things that they don't need to lie about, which is kind of baffling to me. And they even lie about things that are readily verifiable, which is also kind of baffling to me. And if you want to know more about, specifically about narcissist lies, I would highly recommend that you check out my video called Narcissist's Most Common Lies. And I actually do have an accompanying podcast to that too. So for those of you who like to get your information in different kinds of mediums, I do have a podcast. It's on every single outlet where you can find podcasts, and it's called Negotiate Your Best Life. And you can check out that show on Narcissist's Most Common Lies there too. But going back to what the most dangerous lie is, it is not what you think. It's not like, what are they saying that's so dangerous? It's more how it lands for you. And that's why it's so dangerous. And that is the lie that you desperately want to believe. And the reason why that is so dangerous is because they are constantly packaging their lies in a way that you will believe, that you want to believe, that might be plausible, that seems real, that allows you to ignore those red flags that may be going up in your head. And if you want to know more about why people ignore narcissist red flags, I highly recommend you check out my video on that. Anyway, you will be getting these lies, and you're realizing something is off, and you see something, you know, maybe you see a text message come through that doesn't seem right, and you confront them on it. And they have some plausible explanation for it. Or it might not even be all that plausible. But you're just like, you know what? I want to believe this person. I want to believe that my whole life is not a lie. I want to believe that this person actually loves me. I want to believe that I'm not in business with a shark, with somebody who is awful. I mean, they don't seem terrible all the time. Sometimes they seem good. And so you end up processing something in a way that ends up, maybe they get away with their lie because you want to believe it so desperately. And that can happen in a number of different ways. So one of the ways that they package their lies so that you will believe it, which becomes dangerous for you, is something called future faking. And what happens there is that they say, yeah, you know what, this happened, but in the future, here's what life is going to look like. So if it's in business, I'm going to start participating. I'm going to generate all these sales. I'm going to do all this stuff. I'm taking the lead on this particular effort, whatever it is. And then they don't ever do it. And that's future faking. But in that moment, you really, really want to believe it. Same thing if it's in a romantic relationship. You know, you get that text message, or you see that thing happen, or they didn't show up for something, or they didn't do something they were supposed to. They didn't get you the birthday gift they were supposed to. They didn't take care of your kids the way they were supposed to, or blew off your mother, or whatever it is. And you call them out on it, and there you go having a conversation, which is, you know, that's never going to happen again. Let's forget about the past. Let's just think about the future. Let's just take it from here forward, because from now on, you are going to feel appreciated. You will get everything you deserve. You are the best at everything. And whatever comes out of their mouth that they have to say in that moment for you to believe them. And, you know, for a variety of reasons, sometimes you just want to believe them. So you do. And so more time goes by. And now you're investing more of your life. and more of your time and more of your energy into this person. And the more you invest, the more you want it to work, the more you want to believe the lies. And if you just think that they are such liars, give me a liars in the comments. Okay, so the next reason why the way they package their lies is through gaslighting. And gaslighting is something that they use to try to make you think that you're crazy. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on narcissists' favorite gaslighting techniques. But they use gaslighting to try to make you think that you're crazy. So, and I've mentioned this before, but I haven't mentioned it in a while, so I'll mention it again for those of you who don't know. It actually comes from this old movie called Gaslight, and I think it was even a play before that, and then it became a movie, and it was like from the 30s or 40s, where the husband was trying to make the wife think that she was crazy. So he would blow out these gas lights throughout the house, and she would say, "Wasn't that just lit?" And he would say, "No, no, it wasn't." And she would then, you know, he was hoping that she would lose her mind. And that's what happens with narcissists. They start to gaslight you. They start to say things that are different than what was said before, or to try to make you believe that something happened that didn't happen, or something did happen that didn't happen, you know, and they just rewrite reality. So, you know, I had a client one time who the ex-wife, the narcissistic ex-wife, threatened to call the authorities on him if he picked up the child at a certain time or something, a time that he was entitled to pick up the child. But she said, "If you do, I'm calling the authorities." So he emails her back and says, "You know, I really don't appreciate you threatening to call the cops on me, and this is exactly why I want this, this, and this done. And I want you to sign this agreement." Well, now she doesn't want to sign this agreement. She doesn't want to do these other things that he wants her to do. So she turns around to try to use it against him in a way and say, "Hey, I never said I was going to call the cops. I said I was going to call the authorities," which is something different. And you know darn well that when she said, "I'm calling the authorities," she meant the cops. But there's a perfect opportunity for her, or a perfect example of gaslighting. So now she's saying, "That's not what I meant." And so, you know, he's supposed to go, "Oh, what did you mean? I wasn't that? Okay." And, you know, and then now you're having a conversation about that. A perfect example of gaslighting. But there's a type of lie. Gaslighting is a type of lie that you might want to believe, you know, where they're saying now something different than what they said before, but you want to believe it because you don't want to believe that you are so wrong. I mean, a lot of times we want to believe it because we don't want to have to admit that we've been in a relationship with someone who is so horrible to us, who's so untrustworthy, who's so dishonest. You know, I mean, we don't want to have to believe that ourselves. We don't want to have to think, "Oh my gosh, like, how could I have been so stupid," or whatever. But just remember that narcissists are master manipulators. They're very good at reading people. They're very good at figuring out what it is that you want in the beginning. So you can't beat yourself up over that. So that's the most dangerous lie. The most dangerous lie is the one that you want to believe. And when you were getting ready to negotiate with a narcissist in any situation, business or personal or divorce or whatever, there is also an example of a dangerous lie, because you might want to believe that they sincerely want to negotiate with you, that they sincerely want to settle the case, that they sincerely want to make it right and have it be something that's amicable, when they don't actually. When they are actually behind your back, stabbing your back, doing things to you, and then they say they're not. You know, you want to believe that. And that's where it can be very, very dangerous as well. Now, if you're dealing with a narcissist, which you obviously must be, or you wouldn't be here watching these videos, then you're dealing with a liar, because they are one and the same. Narcissists are liars. If you're dealing with a narcissist, you're dealing with a liar. That's just one of those things that can't be pulled out of their personality. They just feel like they have to lie all the time to survive. Because remember, just to give you a little primer on narcissism, a little Narcissism 101, narcissists have no inner sense of value. They have to get all their value from the external. And so they get that in the form of supply, which is their lifeblood, their food source. And supply can be money and prestige and compliments, but supply is also controlling and devaluing people and gaslighting people and things like that. But they feel like they have to manipulate all the time. They're master manipulators, but the reason why they're master manipulators is because something happened with them when they were children and they were traumatized in some way, and they drew this conclusion that in order for them to survive in the world, they have to manipulate the world. They just don't believe that they can just get something by just asking for it, by just being normal, by just being reasonable, the way the rest of the world acts. So they feel like they have to grasp onto whatever they can to in the world, and they feel like they have to manipulate that. And so a big part of that is lying. And they'll lie about all sorts of things, which is the kind of crazy thing, because they'll even lie about things that are readily verifiable, that down the road it's going to be pretty obvious that they've lied. And so it's pretty easy to catch them in a lie. So let's talk about the kinds of things that narcissists lie about. So one of the things that they'll lie about is they'll say, I promise that I'll take care of this. I promise that I'll do this. I promise that I'll be faithful to you. I promise that I will show up on time. I promise, I promise, I promise. And then they don't end up doing what they say they're going to do, or they don't show up and then they lie about what they were doing instead, or they try to get out of it in some way and they feel like they have to lie about it. So that's number one. They say, I promise. The second type of lie that they'll tell you is, it's not my fault. So they'll say, you know, yeah, that happened, but it wasn't my fault, and here's why. So you'll hear that kind of lie all the time as well. The third type of lie that you'll hear is, don't worry. And, you know, they're supposed to make you feel better because they say, don't worry, you know, they're on top of it, they'll take care of it, whatever, and then they don't end up doing it. That's another type of lie that you'll hear. Another way that they lie is gaslighting. Gaslighting is a huge biggie for narcissists. And if you want to know more about gaslighting, check out my video on gaslighting techniques, and we will definitely drop a link to that below as well. But gaslighting is, in short, just a way of making you think that you're crazy. So they'll say, oh, we talked about that. Don't you remember? You agreed. Or, oh, that's not how that went. Or, oh, no, this is how that went. Don't you remember? And, you know, they just are saying things to you that are just not true to manipulate your thought process so that you start to think that you're paranoid or that the problem is with you. So gaslighting is another big form of lying that they engage in. What happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie? If you confront them, what are they going to do? Deny, deflect, devalue, and dismiss. Those are the 4 Ds, and we're going to go through each one of those. So, deny. It wasn't me. I didn't do that. That didn't happen that way. Nope. Nope. Denied. Okay, so that one's pretty easy to understand. They deny it. Number 2 is deflect. Oh, it was you. or it was this person, or it was some other reason that it happened that way. It was because this happened. It was because I couldn't get there on time. It was because this person dropped the ball. It was because whatever. They're deflecting it onto someone else. It wasn't their responsibility. Somebody else had the problem, or someone or something else was the problem. Number 3 is devalue. Now it's your fault. You were the problem. You're the one. You caused it. It's because of your mistakes. It's because you were too difficult. It was because you weren't good enough. It was because you said something wrong. It was because you did something wrong. It's because you didn't do something right. It's because you did do something that you weren't supposed to do. Whatever. They're going to devalue you. It was your problem, or something that you did that was wrong. And if you want to know more about devaluing, you should check out my video on narcissistic devaluing, because it's actually one of the stages in a narcissistic relationship: love bombing, devaluing, and discarding. So devaluing is a huge part of a narcissistic relationship. And number 4 is dismiss. They'll just dismiss it. Oh, it didn't really matter. Oh, can't we just move on? Oh, let's just not even think about it anymore. Let's just forget about it. So it's just like swept under the rug. It's just dismissed. So even if it was something super hurtful to you, your feelings aren't going to be acknowledged. They're not going to apologize to you. They're just going to say, oh, too bad, and keep going. If this all sounds familiar, give me a true that in the comments. So just remember, if you catch a narcissist in a lie, the last thing that you're going to get is, oh, you're right, I shouldn't have said that, or you're right, I wasn't truthful, or I apologize, I'm sure I hurt your feelings, I'm sure that was awful for you. You know, those kinds of responses are not going to happen. You're not going to be acknowledged for, you know, whatever they put you through. It's going to be some version of devalue, deflect, dismiss, or deny. You know, it's going to be one of those 4 things. It's not going to have anything to do with them. And the reason why is because they can't have it take away their sense of self. You know, they have so little sense of self that any amount of taking responsibility for their actions to them is almost like dying inside. It's like survival. So you're not going to see them take responsibility for those lies. They're just going to figure out some way that it's not going to get pinned onto them. Fed up with narcissists walking all over you? Sick of everyone believing their lies while you're paying through the nose in attorney's fees? What if you could hold all the cards for a change? Hey, I'm Rebecca Zung. I'm a top 1% trial attorney, a USA Today bestselling author, and I've spent my entire career helping people slay narcissists in negotiations, most recently through my proven slay method. What if your suffering could become your superpower? Imagine turning all that pain into power, not just for you, but for others too. This is your chance to take back control. You can finally win. Become a high conflict negotiation certified coach. Help others while transforming your own life, and do good for the world. This is your chance. Go to RebeccaZung.com/apply, and I'll show you how to turn the tables for good starting today. It's no secret that narcissists are pathological liars and that they're gaslighting all the time. And why do they do that? Because they have no sense of self. They don't feel any internal sense of value, so they have to suck all their value from the people and environment around them, and they do that by pathologically lying and doing things that they need to do in order to control people. And, you know, they have all kinds of favorite control tactics and manipulation tactics. And if you want to know what their favorite manipulation and punishment tactics are, check out my video on the narcissist's favorite manipulation and punishment tactics. But there are many, too many to really encompass all in one video, which is why I have an entire channel devoted to this particular topic, which also is devoted to help give you step-by-step guidance on how to get out of these relationships. I've seen it so much in my law practice. I've had to deal with them in my personal life. You know, they get narcissistic supply by anything that feeds their ego, which, you know, could be anything that feeds anybody's ego, like compliments and respect and things like that. But most often where they get their supply is by the things that they do, by lying, manipulating, intimidating, making people feel afraid, gaslighting, smear campaigns, all of those things that they do. And lying is one of the things that they do because they don't want you to see what you think you're seeing, which is that this person is a liar, that this person is not who they say they are. So it's this constant game of smoke and mirrors to try to get you to not see what they don't want you to see, which is that inside they're a scared little creature that has no sense of self, that you are actually the stronger one. You are actually the one that has more power, that has more value from their perspective. I mean, all human beings have value, inherent value, but they don't feel it. And so they don't want you to feel it either. They are extremely petty. And they live in a world of scarcity, not abundance. And so lying is a way of life for them. Now, honestly, they lie about things that they don't even need to lie about, which is kind of crazy to me. And they also lie about things that are very easily verifiable sometimes. And then they tell you that you're not seeing what you're seeing, which is what gaslighting is. There are certain types of lies that they specifically say to you throughout your relationship. So these are kind of like the most common. I'm sure that there's a lot of others, but these are the most common. So the first one is, ironically and paradoxically, no one is more truthful than me. You're going to never find anyone who's more truthful, more honest, has more integrity than me. I always tell the truth. I always tell it like I see it. And they say it with such confidence that you believe them, at least early on. My dad used to say, whatever you say it with authority and people will believe you. And narcissists have taken that to an extreme. So they say things even though, you know, you see their lips moving and you know that you've seen a text message or you've had a situation where you know that they're lying. You know that they're lying. Even if you specifically say, here's an email where you said this, it's very clear that you're lying. They'll say, no, that's not true. That's not how it went. That's not what's happening, which is a form of gaslighting, by the way. But the first thing that they will say is, no one is more truthful than I am. The second thing that they say is some form of, I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you. And if you want to know more about what a narcissist means when they say, I love you, and what they don't mean when they say, I love you, check out my video on what does a narcissist mean when they say, I love you. When they are saying, I love you, I care about you, I'm here for you, it's not that that's what they actually feel, because true narcissists have no ability, no capacity to feel anything for anyone else. They just lack that synapse. It's like missing from their makeup, from their brain. It's just broken and it can't be fixed. They cannot truly love another person. They cannot truly care about another person. And they certainly don't want to be there for anybody else. They only want what they can get out of you. And so they will say these things sometimes to get you to do what they want you to do, or think what they want you to think, or get off of whatever it is that you're on them about, just to, you know, say what they need to say. Sometimes it's a form of future faking. And if you want to know more about future faking, you should definitely check out my video on that. But, you know, they don't really love you. They're not really there for you, and they don't care about you. And you can tell that because their actions speak louder than words. You know, try getting sick and expecting a narcissist to actually care about you and be there for you. I mean, if you're lucky, they just don't feel anything. Most of the time, what they really do is they resent you. They resent the fact that you might want care or attention or something from them, because that means that you're not paying attention to them. And there's not enough to go around in their world, you know, like they're very scarcity minded. So if you want something, that means they can't have it. The second thing is, I love you, I care about you, I'm there for you. The third one is, I'm sorry, or things will be different. And, you know, I call it narcissist faux apologies. And if you want to know more about, you know, what a faux apology is, check out my video on what a narcissist really is doing when they say, I'm sorry. But most of the time, narcissists really don't even say sorry. But if they do, it's definitely to manipulate you, to try to get something out of you. It might just be lip service, and because it's in front of somebody and they want the person, the third party, to see it. It may be just to shut you up. It may be kind of even more like a sarcastic apology. I'm sorry that I couldn't be better for you, or something like that, but they really don't mean it. There's never any real remorse for their actions. So when they say I'm sorry, it's definitely a lie, unfortunately. And if you think that their lies are so sad and so pathetic, I want to see a "so sad" in the comments. Just drop that below. So sad. So the fourth lie that they often tell is, I promise. I promise I'll do better. I promise that I will be the most amazing spouse, husband, wife, business partner, mother, father, sister, brother, neighbor, whatever it is. Nobody is going to be better than me. I'm the best at whatever it is. So I promise that the way things are going to be are the most amazing things in the world. And again, this is a form of future faking. And it's basically a future that they know they're never going to make good on. They're never going to follow through with these promises. And they just want to say whatever they want to say just to get you to do what they want you to do at that moment, or feel the way they want you to feel right at that moment, which is that they're wonderful, you're the one who has the problem, or that, you know, however, whatever it is that you have a problem with them right now about, it's not going to be that way in the future. So just, like, you know, get off of it. Let's just deflect it, deny it, move on. So I promise. That's the fourth lie that you often hear from a narcissist. And the last common lie that you often hear from a narcissist is, it's not my fault. I didn't do it. Or if I did, it was because somebody else had a problem. Somebody else didn't follow through on what they were supposed to do. It's your fault. You know, I could have done it except for you getting in my way. But for whatever reason, it's not their fault. What are 7 horrible lies that the narcissist is going to tell about you to their new supply? Number 1 is, took all my money and left me homeless. Boo-hoo. Yep, that's what they're going to say. They stole all my money, and that's why I don't have any. They left me homeless and penniless. They love to play the victim for their new
supply. And of course, that's why they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them. And, the old expression, nobody falls in love faster than a narcissist who needs a place to live. So they're going to get their new supply to pay for everything for them, move into their new supplies place, and the new supply is going to feel so sorry for them. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you had to go through all of that. Yes, I know. They took all my money, left me homeless and penniless. And they'll get into all this agreement about how horrible you were because you took everything from them. So that's number one. Number two is, oh my goodness, we hadn't had sex in forever because, they repulsed me. They're going to make it seem like sex hadn't been a thing in forever. And even if it's totally not true, they'll make it seem like there hadn't been a physical relationship in a really, really long time. They just make up lies about whatever your relationship was to make it seem like it was way worse than it actually was, because they want to make it seem like they are such a victim. They want their new source of supply to feel sorry for them and gang up on you. Because then, of course, if there are ongoing issues, especially with the children, if there are children involved, they want their new source of supply to help turn the children against you, to get involved. I can tell you as an attorney, then the new sources of supply starts writing all the messages in our family wizard, starts getting involved, starts writing all the messages to the attorneys as well. It gets super, super messy, really, really annoying. I can tell you that, that's for sure. Number three is, I started to allude to this, they turned my children against me. So now what happens is, if the children are against this person, they're going to blame it on you. They're going to say that you are the one that alienated the children. You're the one that caused the problems with the children. That the reason why the children don't like this other person is because you caused it. It had nothing to do with them. It had nothing to do with the fact that they may be a bad person, or maybe they were a bad parent, or maybe they weren't good to you. And the kids saw that. It had all to do with the fact that you turned the children against them. All right. That's the next one. The next one is that I was never in love with him or her. And, this can be especially painful for you to hear. And let me just tell you, don't take that personally, because the narcissist never could love you anyway. And I have a video on why the narcissist hates you. And I would definitely watch that video, because the narcissist doesn't have the capacity to love anyone, including themselves. They hate everybody. So definitely check out that video, and don't take anything personally that the narcissist is saying about you, about them, about any of this. But this one can be especially painful to hear. So just take it with a grain of salt when this might come back to you. And by the way, if you've heard any of these so far, give me a totally in the comments, because you probably have. I'm sure you probably have. So give me a totally in the comments so far. The next one is, I wanted to commit suicide every day when I was with him or her. I mean, they get so dramatic. They thrive on this drama. So they'll say things like that. Oh my God, I was like in such a depression every day when I was with him or her. I wanted to commit suicide. I couldn't wait to escape when I was with him or her. Please. I mean, like they act like every day was like in prison when they were with you. That's another one. Another one was, they'll make it sound like you were so jealous or possessive, because they want to make it sound like you were so in love with him or her, that you were clawing all over him or her all the time, and that you just couldn't live without this person, but they couldn't stand you. So you were super jealous and possessive. They never loved you. They were repulsed by you. You took all their money. They were victimized by you. They have this huge narrative about how jealous and possessive and in love with you, but yet, they were completely repulsed by you. So that's the next one. And then the last one is that you told lies about them to everyone. So, whatever the narrative is that's going around about them, about how horrible they were, whether it was they were abusive or a horrible parent or whatever it is, all of it is a bunch of lies that you spread. It has nothing to do with the truth. Maybe it was that they didn't pay child support, or that they were a terrible provider, whatever it is that you might have said, they're alcoholic, or, all of it was a bunch of lies that you spread. It had nothing to do with reality. You caused it. They had no culpability, no responsibility in any of that. They were perfect. They were a perfect wife, perfect husband, perfect mother, father, whatever it was. You were just horrible. They have no idea why you were the way you were, because, obviously you were crazy or delusional and just caused all of this problem all on your own.
It seems like every celebrity has access to GLP-1s these days, but what about the rest of us? Now you don't need to be rich or famous to access personalized, tailored weight loss solutions just for you. Through Hers, you can take control of your health. Hers is changing women's healthcare by providing access to holistic weight loss solutions, including GLP-1 treatments with the same active ingredients as Ozempic and Wegovy, oral medication kits, and more. You'll connect with a medical provider who will develop a plan based on your needs. And if prescribed, your medication is included as part of a doctor-designed weight loss program, complete with ongoing care, online support, all at no additional cost. Plans start at just $199 a month with a 12-month subscription, paid up front, and your treatment ships directly to your door. So if you've been struggling with weight loss and you want to find the right solution just for you, start your free online visit today at forhers.com/negotiate. That's forhers.com/negotiate for your personalized weight loss treatment options. Hers is not available everywhere. Compounded programs are not FDA approved or verified for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription required, restrictions apply. Wegovy and Ozempic are not compounded. So let's talk about what that narcissist hates. I mean, there's a lot that we can't stand about them, right? I mean, their behavior toward people is just so heinous and awful. It's really hard to believe that they can do a lot of the things that they do. I mean, you find yourself wondering, how do they even sleep at night? And if you want to know how they sleep at night, check out my video on how does a narcissist sleep at night, and you'll find out more about that. When you're dealing with a narcissist, you want to know what they can't stand. So let's talk about what's going on with a narcissist so that you can understand what it is that they hate. So narcissists were traumatized at some point in their childhoods, and yes, they became wounded, but no, you can't save them. Please don't try. They cannot be rehabilitated, and nothing you can do, say, be, or whatever will ever fix them. They're beyond repair. Yes, it's sad. Yes, that child was wounded. That child is gone. They are now adults. They are now adults who should be taking responsibility for their behavior. They don't. They are pathological liars. And if you want to know more about what a narcissist, how a narcissist behaves when they get caught in a lie, check out my video on what happens when you catch a narcissist in a lie. They just can't deal with the real world the same way we do. They don't see the world the way we do. They don't, the problem that we have as either empathic people or even just normal, reasonable people is that we constantly are trying to think about the why of what they're doing and why are they behaving that way, or what can we do to get them to change or behave differently. And the thing that is like kind of like was the biggest aha moment for me is understanding that there's nothing that you can do that you're ever going to understand the behavior. There's nothing that you can learn other than learning from videos like this that will just tell you that they're really actually one of the easiest personalities to understand. They're very simple. The only thing that they care about and the only thing that drives them is something called narcissistic supply. And in my Narcissism 101 series, I actually talk about all the basic terminology of narcissism. And I do have a video specifically on narcissistic supply. So you're going to want to check that out. But they're just constantly needing that narcissistic supply. Everything they do is wrapped up in that. And narcissistic supply is anything that feeds a narcissist's ego. So it can be normal things that feed everybody's ego, like, you know, somebody telling them that they look good or that they're really smart or that they did a great job on something. I mean, obviously all people want to feel seen, heard, and know that we matter. So it's kind of like on a continuum, you know, where all humans feel that way, but most humans also have the capacity to be humble, take responsibility for themselves and their mistakes, have compassion and feeling of empathy and love and care for other people. They don't have that ability. So they are just all the way to the pathological end of the spectrum, where clinically they just cannot have any feelings of care, love, compassion, or empathy for other people. So what they hate is going to be all wrapped up in their, what's interrupting their supply source. So the number one thing that they hate is boundaries. They hate boundaries because they feel entitled. They feel that you belong to them. Anything that you have belongs to them, that you should never put up boundaries against them. And so they absolutely hate when you do that, but it is absolutely necessary that you are doing that. So if you are doing that, and if you're ready to do that, or you want to do that, give me a boundaries in the comments right now. I want to hear about your boundaries. I want to hear about how you're doing it. I want to hear about how you're going to do it. If you're having trouble putting up boundaries, I want to hear about that in the comments as well. But anyway, that's the number one thing that they hate. In no particular order, by the way. I'm just kind of going through some of these things, but one of the things that they hate is boundaries. The second thing that they hate is not being in control. They spend an inordinate amount of their time trying to be in control. A lot of the things that they do, including even saying, I love you, is to try to get control over you. And if you want to know more about what a narcissist really means when they say, I love you, check out my video on what does a narcissist mean when they say, I love you. But they really want to be in control at all times. And when they start to lose control, that's when you start to see them, you know, when you start to see them losing their grip, they can start acting very crazily, you know, that narcissistic rage can come flying out, that narcissistic injury gets triggered. And that's when you see the, Mr. Hyde's side of the Dr. Jekyll personality come flying out. And it's usually not pretty. And I teach negotiation skills, and I teach specifically on how to negotiate with a narcissist and how to create strategy and leverage around dealing with that narcissist. And one of the ways that are creating that leverage is looking at their forms of supply and how you can interrupt those forms of supply. And so when they start to lose control, I teach people to just be ready for them to start going a little bit nutso, because they're always the worst, by the way, right before they're ready to give up. And the not so secret is that you're actually the stronger one. You're actually the one who is more normal and who's in control and who is stronger. And they know that, by the way. They just don't want you to know that. So number 2 is they absolutely hate to lose control. Number 3 is being exposed. They don't want people to see who they really are. They don't want people to know that maybe they're not as smart as they think they are. Maybe they don't want to get caught in lies. They don't want people to see that they've made mistakes. I actually had a narcissistic employee one time who every time, she wasn't showing up for work or she wasn't doing her work that she was supposed to, it was always someone else's fault and some other reason. She could never take responsibility, and because narcissists hate to be exposed. They do not want that to happen. So that's number 3. Number 4 is imperfections, or you pointing out any imperfections on them. They want the world to believe that they are absolutely perfect in every way. So, looks, smarts, their work product, how they are at home, how they are as a husband, wife, mother, father, sister, brother, friend, whatever. They have to be perfect in every single way. And if you just, even the slightest slight will cause them to go crazy. And by the way, narcissists hear slights, and tones in your voice, like dogs hear whistles. They just go crazy, even if there's nothing there. Even if you didn't mean anything, there they are getting upset, so they don't want you to point out any imperfections on their part. And the last thing that they hate, I kind of alluded to a little bit earlier, but that is themselves. They have a deep, deep sense of self-hatred. Sometimes it's so subconscious that even they don't realize that it's there. Or maybe they do, but they just don't want the world to see it. And they certainly don't want you to see it. They don't want anybody to see it. So, but deep down inside, they really do hate themselves and know you can't fix it and know they can't get better. And yes, it happened in childhood, and yes, they were wounded as children, but you can't fix it now. They are all grown up and they can't get better. Unfortunately, the best thing you can do is start to, as we said in number 1, create those boundaries and go no contact.
First thing I want you to know is that they all love bomb, okay? So what this means is that they're lying to you right from the beginning, whether it's in a romantic relationship or a business relationship or whatever kind of a relationship. They want you to think that they're amazing or perfect right from the beginning. And I actually was in a business relationship with a narcissist, so I saw this myself actually. And so they want you to think they're charming and incredible right from the get-go. So they'll say things like, oh my God, where have you been all my life? I can't believe how perfect we are for each other, and we're made for each other. We just align so perfectly in our beliefs. So, those are the kinds of things that they'll tell right from the beginning. We're soulmates. We're made for each other. We're perfect for each other. So that's number 1, the love bomb kind of lie. Number 1. Number 2 is the future fake kind of lie. So the future fake kind of lie is, It's never going to happen again. Like, so this is when they've been caught in a lie, they want to deflect, they want to project, they don't want you to be dwelling on their bad behavior, their past behavior. So they want a future fake. They want you to not look at whatever they've done. They want you to look to the future. So it's kind of a love bomb, but you've already been in the relationship. So they just don't want you to be looking at whatever it is that they've done. They just want you to just move on to whatever it is. They have no intention on keeping their promise at all, but they just want you to not think about whatever they've done in the past. So they'll say whatever they need to get you to not think about the past. It's kind of, love bomb 2.0. All right. The future fake is love bomb 2.0. So it's never going to happen again. You'll never see it again. Let's just move on, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So that's the next kind of lie that all narcissists tell. The next one is, you can trust me. I mean, they'll act like they're the most trustworthy people on the planet. I'm a Boy Scout. I'm a Girl Scout. I actually heard that those exact words come out of my former business partner's mouth. 100% those words. All right. That's number 3. Number 4 is the blame game. It's all your fault. It's all their fault. Someone else's fault. It's always someone else's fault. This is the project and deflect. They can never take responsibility for any of their own actions. It's never anyone else's fault. Somehow they seem to think that if they shift the blame, that people won't see that it's their fault. I don't know. Number 5 is the gaslighting. The gaslighting, you're too sensitive, or I never said that. I definitely saw that in the business relationship that I was in. We talked about that. Don't you remember? That sort of thing. That's the next kind of lie that all narcissists tell, is the gaslighting lie. The next kind of lie that you hear all narcissists tell is the no one else thinks that, or everyone else thinks that, the kind of lie that they try to do to try to isolate you from everyone else to make you feel really, really bad. If you want to know more about this kind of lie, go check out my video on the narcissist's favorite catchphrases. Definitely a whole lot more in that particular video. And you'll get to hear more about that sort of thing. And if you agree with me so far, if this sounds super familiar, give me an amen in the comments below, because this is sounding really familiar so far, right? The next one is the I'll change, I'm different now. You've heard that one before too. Don't fall for it. Definitely not true. Narcissists really can't change. They don't really have the ability to change. I mean, some do. It's pretty rare. So I wouldn't sit around and hold out hope that that can definitely happen, because it's probably not going to happen. So that's number 7, is the big lie. Narcissists really can't change. The next one, the last one, is usually about their exes. The ex was obsessed with me, or their ex was super crazy. There's usually some kind of lie around their exes. I would be really, really careful when they're saying things about their exes, either that they were obsessed with them or that they're super crazy in some way. Maybe some kind of red flag around that. Maybe they actually were crazy or obsessed with them, but maybe not. So I don't know. I'm wondering what you guys think about this list so far. If you agree with me, or if there's any other, lies that you guys have seen. I'm sure that there's so many more, but this is how we catch them in these lies, right? This is how we use this to create leverage, by the way. I'll admit it, I'm that person. I'm the one the night before a birthday, an anniversary, or any kind of special occasion, I'm frantically searching the aisles for the right card and one that doesn't seem kind of corny or cringeworthy. You know the struggle, right? But then I found Moonpig. It's a total game changer. They have tons of adorable, funny, even heartfelt designs ready to go, and you can even personalize them, which is super cool. You can even upload your favorite photos or tweak the text to make it uniquely you. And they'll even suggest clever messages if you're feeling stuck. Oh, and no more forgetting birthdays or scrambling for addresses. Moonpig lets you save everything in one place and even sends you reminders. Plus, they've got the opportunity to upload gift cards from all your favorite places like Sephora or Starbucks, so you can really nail that perfect gift vibe. Once you've designed your card, they'll even mail it for you, or if you want to hand deliver it, they'll send it to you with a cool envelope. So guess what? This is your chance. Your first card is totally free. Just use the code FREE and go to moonpig.com/US/negotiate. Seriously, stop stressing and start impressing. Make someone's day with Moonpig. Try it right now. 6 top lies all narcissists want you to believe. They think you're buying this stuff, right? They think you're buying it because they're so charming and they're so charismatic and they come on with their love bombing and they come on with their thing and they've got their lines and their stealth and their manipulation. They think that you're buying this stuff right from the beginning. You know, we do. We do. I fell for it too. I did too. You know why? Because they're that good. You know, they start figuring this stuff out at an early age. You know how that book, The Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, where he talks about it takes 10,000 hours to become a master at something, to become really good at something. You know what 10,000 hours is? It's like 4 years. I mean, it's not like that long. Narcissists have been working on figuring out their craft since they were kids. This is survival for them. So they know how to read people. They're very good at this. But once you're onto them, you're onto them. So don't worry about that. I got you covered. And by the way, if you are negotiating with narcissists, you definitely want to grab my free Crush My Negotiation Prep Worksheet, free 15-page ebook at crushmydeal.com. Make sure you grab that, crushmydeal.com. I've had many thousands of people win their entire negotiations just on that, crushmydeal.com. Go grab that. So, number one top lie that all narcissists want you to believe: you can be vulnerable with me. You can share all your inner secrets with me. Tell me all your innermost secrets. Yeah, you can share them all with me. And guess what? Guess when you're going to hear them again? When they want to hurt you, you will be hearing them absolutely again. They're going to shift it all around. They're going to use them against you in court. They're going to use them against you in negotiations. They're going to tell whoever they want. They're going to throw them back in your face. They're going to say, you can't even do this. You can't even do that. You're so weak. You're this, you're that. Oh, 100%. I mean, because they have no conscience. That's the problem with you. You can be vulnerable with me. It's so sick and sad. That's what they'll do. Other people are like, I would never. I mean, I know I would never use somebody's most awful things against them. It wouldn't even occur to me. It would actually make me nauseous to even think about that. But they would do it. You don't even think about it. They do. I've seen it all the time in court. Oh my gosh. I've seen malignant narcissists turn around and actually file false pleadings against people, accuse people of being child molesters if they haven't been, accuse people of being wife beaters, child beaters, all sorts of things. They don't care sometimes. Depending on the level of narcissism, they don't care. You can be vulnerable with me. That's one of the lies that narcissists will tell you that they want you to believe. Number two, you can count on me. Oh, yeah, sure. Narcissists hate you needing them. That's like the last thing they want is for you to like actually want to count on them. They don't want to have to be there for you. They don't want you to like be sick around them. They don't want you to need them in any way, shape, or form. Because when you go back for some withdrawals on your deposits, you just doing things for them is just payment for being in their space. If you want anything back in return, then the payment is high. It may be like 1,000-fold for the most minuscule scrap. And then you'll hear about it for years on end that they actually did something for you. I mean, please. Yeah, you can count on me. Number three, everything. One of the lies that they tell, we're going through the lies that all narcissists want you to believe. They want you to believe that everything in their life is your fault or your problem. All their problems or all the things that go wrong, all the failures, everything that bad that ever happened in the house or at the office or wherever it is that you have them in your environment or whatever is your fault. Everything is your fault. That's number three. They project and deflect. They lie and deny. That is the number one agenda. Project and deflect, lie and deny. The four top agendas, depending on how you want to look at that. But it's just not them. And if you've seen any of these things so far, give me a totally in the comments. I'd love to see what you guys think. Give me a totally in the comments if you guys have seen any of these things so far. Number four of the top lies all narcissists want you to believe is I will change or I have changed. You're going to see everything is different. You know, this is the big old future fake. This is whether you're dealing with them at work or in a marriage or a relationship. You catch them in a situation or, you know, something happens and you go to marriage counseling, then everything is going to be different now, that sort of thing. I've changed, I will change, everything is different. I feel like it's almost like they're holding their breath, holding on tight for a period of time because it's like, how long do I have to engage in this charade until I can go back to being my normal self and let out my breath? And then once they do, hell hath no fury because they go right back to being the way they used to be and then worse because sometimes they want to make you pay. They're angry, resentful, and upset that you made them do these things that they didn't want to do in the first place. It's not even worth the I've changed, I will change little phase a lot of the time. So that's number four. Number five lie all narcissists tell, they want you to believe is I would never lie. I would never lie. I cannot tell a lie. I'm the most truthful person you would ever meet. I have so much integrity. I would never lie. I tell the truth all the time. This is the person who tells the most lies of all people, constantly are catching them in lies. And, you know, the truth bears out. It bears out very quickly. You can tell if a person is a person of their word by how they behave, how they conduct themselves. Are they following through with what they say they're going to do? How does that happen? Did they say they were going to do something and then actually go through with it? You know, you'll see, right? So that's number five. And most of the time they don't. And that's when that becomes your leverage, by the way. That's a big piece of your leverage, which is a good thing. I know a lot of times people are like, oh, they lied and I hated that and they got away with it. How are they getting away with this? But they don't get away with it because becomes your leverage. Every time I would see a narcissist lying, I'd be thinking, thank you. I get to use this against you now. Okay, so that's number 5. Number 6, no one loves you like I do. No one loves you like I do. This is such a huge lie. And they do this a lot of times to isolate you from family, to isolate you from friends. They don't want you to have other people in their lives. So they're jealous, they get upset. If you spend time with other people, they become resentful a lot of times, raging if you spend time with other people. Dealing with a covert narcissist, they use this secret weapon against you to make you think that you're crazy. Well, covert narcissists are incredibly convincing. They're incredibly convincing. I think they're the most dangerous type of narcissist. Okay. I think they're the most dangerous because they are so convincing. They're the ones out there looking like the most normal. Other types of narcissists, grandiose narcissists, are out there telling everybody how amazing they are, how great they are, how wonderful they are. They're the ones out there that go in restaurants or go into a room and say, I did this and I did that, and look at my accomplishments and look how amazing I am. Covert narcissists don't do that. Covert narcissists say, oh, I don't want attention. I hate attention, even though they do want attention, even though they do want the world to think that they're wonderful and all of that. And so they do have this deep need, wanting, the world to think that they're amazing. And the reason why they are incredibly convincing in a lot of ways is that they also believe their own made up reality of themselves. They've also almost kind of convinced themselves that they are honest and trustworthy and loyal and considerate. And they genuinely believe a lot of that, even as they're gaslighting people and as they're taking advantage of people and as they're doing these things, victimizing people. And that's part of the reason why they're so insidious and very, very stealth, and they present very well, and they put themselves in positions where they are often clergy or doctors or lawyers, or they're the first ones to show up when somebody is sick, or the first ones to take care, but only if it's opportunistic, only if there's going to be an audience, only if it's the right type of audience, only if the scenario presents itself to be the right one. They have to appear in the right way. And they're masters at orchestrating situations a lot of times where they can pit people against each other, where they can dig deep wells where it looks like they are the good person and the other person is bad, or they set themselves up so that they're calm and the other person is crazy. So they, here they are, the rational one, and the other person is out of control, sobbing or screaming, and they're just, I don't know what happened there, officer, while the onlookers are, oh my goodness, I look at that, so, they can be the ones who are, I tried for years to get the person help, or I tried for years to do all that I could. And they come off as the likable one. They come off as the calm one. They come off as the charming one in marriage counseling, or, to the therapists as the much more rational and calm one. And they can get everyone to believe that that's what's going on. They're masters at smear campaigns and at planting seeds, starting the planting of seeds. oh, I'm so concerned about, how much they had to drink that night. I just, I'm just really concerned about that situation. I just want to make sure that everybody's okay. Ugh, my heart. It's like that. And just lining up the flying monkeys and just starting to groom. And so those are the kinds of things that they'll do. And they start to weave and lead people down these paths, and people are just unaware of what they're doing. They're just unaware of what's happening because they're so good at doing these things and just remaining calm. And so their real secret weapon, and that's what I'm leading to here, is that they are masters, absolute masters of plausible deniability. And what I mean by that is sabotaging and undermining in very, very subtle, insidious ways, but then being able to just look very, very innocent and saying, I don't know what you're talking about. I have no idea. And, so for example, something could be like, I only said something about, I knew somebody said something about their child's birthday or something, and realizing that it was before a date that was something that was going to be inflammatory to something else. And then they putting dates together that are, is going to upset something to somebody else. And then the other person realizes that that's upsetting to this other person. And then they know that it's going to be upsetting to this other person. But then they go, oh, I didn't realize that I said that date and that was going to be upsetting to you. And then the other person, goes, oh, I didn't know. I didn't realize, and they just play it off as if they didn't realize that date was going to be upsetting. I had no idea. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. I didn't realize, that sort of thing. They'll make a dish and give it to the other person, and the dish has something in it that the person is allergic to, like cashews. And then the other person gets an allergic reaction from it. And then they say, I didn't realize it had cashews in it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, that's terrible. Oh, I didn't realize that. They did realize that, but they play it off like they didn't know. Plausible deniability. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that when I was going to do something on your computer that was going to delete that off of your computer and off your calendar. So I'm so stupid. That sort of thing. And they do know that when they were going to do that it was going to delete it off your calendar. Plausible deniability, undermining you, but acting like I didn't know that was going to happen, to avoid taking responsibility, but everybody else, when you tell that story, everybody else goes, well, I'm sure that was inadvertent because they're so nice, because they're such a good person. I'm sure that couldn't have been on purpose. Oh, you're making too much of it. That sort of thing. When you try to tell other people, I think you're just making too much. And then when they're telling other people, they go, I was just trying to be helpful. I was just trying to be nice. Gosh, do they really think that I would try to make them sick on purpose? That's just so crazy, that sort of thing. And sometimes I do believe they really believe their stuff. Like, they really think that I would be that horrible of a person, and they start to even believe their own lies sometimes. It actually is like that crazy making. And so I believe that the worst secret weapon that they have is this plausible deniability, where they actually start to make you think that you're absolutely crazy, and the world cannot see it. The world cannot see it at all. And you are just, over time, it's like death by 1,000 cuts. And it's like not so bad that you just feel like you can go to the world and go, look, this person's beating me, or this person's cheating on me, or this person is that bad. It's these little tiny things over the years that just add up, where you're just sucks at your soul over time, and it drains the life out of you over time. And so that's why I think it's just so insidious and so horrible. And they have this way also of sort of this double language and this double, like saying things, these like kind of things that almost look like compliments, but they're not actually compliments. And it's very, very insidious the way covert narcissists work on you and work on your brain. And they're extremely, extremely toxic and extremely, extremely poisonous. Have you ever been ghosted or lied to, and you're just feeling so awful inside, and you're sitting there and you're feeling like so defeated, and you're wondering, should you try to go back to this person? Maybe you're wondering if the person is gone, or the person is still in your life and still just treating you really poorly. And you're wondering if you should just keep them in your life. They've betrayed you, they've treated you badly. Maybe they're sort of in and out of your life and they're not good for you. And you're wondering if what you should do about it. Or they're just gone, and you're wondering whatever happened to them. You're just feeling really, really crappy about it. And you're feeling like, what did you do? And maybe you're just feeling like you're a bad person. There's something wrong with you, and you just can't trust again. And there's all kinds of stuff that you're feeling, and you're wondering, how do you stop feeling defeated? How do you stop feeling like, it was you, or all these bad feelings are going through your head? And there's a couple of things I want you to know. First of all, I want you to think about the fact that it was not you. If you're dealing with a narcissist, if you're dealing with a bad person, consider the source. I mean, my dad used to say, consider the source all the time. One of my favorite books on the planet is The Four Agreements. And if you haven't read that book, you need to go get that book. It's a tiny little book. It's something you can read in an afternoon, a couple of hours. It's 4 agreements that you make with yourself. And one of the agreements is never take anything personally, because people treat other people is always a reflection of the way they feel about themselves, good or bad. I mean, if people treat other people well, it's because they feel good about themselves inside. So if they're acting out of love, then they won't have treated you poorly in the first place. I mean, if somebody doesn't want to be with you, then they'll just straight up tell you, I don't want to be with you, and here's why, and that sort of thing. If somebody has ghosted you, they've given you a gift, because they've told you what kind of person they are. They've given you a gift. Honestly, if they had stayed around in your life, they would have just been causing you more and more misery all the time. So they've truly given you a gift, because they've now left a space for somebody wonderful to be in your life. You don't need that type of person in your life. You want that space to be open for a good person to be in your life. You had it confirmed that that person is not a good person. And the thing that I've learned is that the closure that you're going to get is that you have to do your own closure. You have to learn how to do your own closure for yourself. I learned how to do that on my own after I dealt with a narcissist in my own life. And you can't sit there clinging on to a person who didn't want you. I mean, I used to say to people all the time, why do you want to be with a person who doesn't want to be with you? There's no power in that. There's certainly no power in wanting to be with a person who doesn't want to be with you. There's certain ways to get a narcissist to respect you, and that is definitely not one of them. By the way, I did a whole video on the only way to get a narcissist to respect you, and you can definitely check that out if you want to check that out, but that's definitely not the way to get a narcissist to respect you. You want to be in your own power. And one of the ways to do that is to be with a person who definitely wants to be with you. And you deserve that. Feel that. Feel that you know that in your cells. And remember what Maya Angelou said when she said, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first time. She was so right about that. People will show you who they are, and you set the bar for how people treat you. You show them. You don't get your goals, you get your standards. You condition people on how to treat you, and people will treat you accordingly. So when someone shows you how they treat you, their words don't matter, their actions matter. So, I mean, they can say all kinds of things, they love you or they don't, whatever, but it's their actions that actually matter. And they will demonstrate to you how it is that they actually are treating you. And you deserve so much more than that. So don't worry about closure. Don't try to get them to explain what they were doing, or don't you try to explain. Don't try to get them to acknowledge your actions. None of that. It's not going to happen. You're never going to get that kind of closure. Just move forward, find yourself, find your power in yourself. Just remember that if they've moved on, they gave you a gift. They gave you a gift of showing you who they actually are. Just say, I know my value. And I want you to write that in the comments below. I know my value. Just start feeling that power, and pay attention to your gut. You know, I mean, if somebody is really there for you, you'll feel it. You'll know it. Your vibrational energy knows it. It knows it on a cellular level. And you will be able to tell if they are actually there for you. So if you've been ghosted or lied to, you will know. And don't allow it. Move forward. Find the quality person. You know, I always say, defend your light with your life. Find the high vibrational energy people. You know, be with people who want to be with you. That makes the difference in your life. Even if it's, you know, the 5 most quality people in the world, that will make a huge difference in the value of your life. I have helped so many people get out of these relationships and into the lives that they want. And I want to help you too. And I've seen all the lies that narcissists tell, all of them. And I know the 8 worst lies that narcissists want you to believe. And I'm going to share them with you here in this video, and I'm going to go through them, the worst ones to the most heinous ones in this video. So watch all the way till the end here so that you can know what the worst ones are. Okay, so let's go through them now. The 8th worst one, we'll just go like 8th to first, right? Is, I'm not really like this, right? That's one of the things that they'll say, I'm not really like this. Now, you know that they're actually really like that, right? And they'll often try to gaslight you by telling you that they're not normally like this. They'll have a tantrum, or they'll go crazy, or they'll treat people poorly, or they'll do things that are awful, and or they'll be doing things that are horrible for a while, or they'll be super depressed, or whatever it is. They'll just say that they're going through a phase, that they're under a lot of stress, that it's somebody else's fault, that it's because of the things that they're going through at work, that they're acting crazy because of their ex or whatever it is. But they'll say that they're not really like this, especially if it's early on in the relationship, because they'll let you know that it's just something that they're dealing with right now. The truth is that they're very much like that. The truth is that they're actually way worse than what they're showing you most of the time, and that they're only revealing a little piece of the way that they really are. So that's the one of the lies that they want you to believe. The next one is that they'll let you know, one of the lies that they'll tell that they want you to believe, and this is a lie about you, is that you are the one that's overreacting. So that it's your behavior and not theirs. So this is a massive gaslight, by the way, massive gaslight. They'll say things like, you're overreacting, when you haven't even raised your voice yet. I didn't mean to hurt you, or it's not a big deal. Stop making such a big deal out of things. Or, you're being oversensitive. Or, the truth is that their behavior is a big deal. The truth is that what they did was really horrible. They can be as awful as possible, and they'll say you're overreacting. They will have treated you in a heinous, horrible way, and you can be hurt and feeling horrible, and they'll say you're overreacting. You can have found text messages or photographs or seen them with other people or whatever, and they'll say you're overreacting. So those are the types of things that they will say, but that's a massive gaslight, basically erasing your feelings, telling you that the way that you feel is not okay. So that's a massive lie, another lie that narcissists want you to believe. The next lie that narcissists want you to believe is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. They are never sorry, and they always mean it. So it's a, faux apology. I call them narcissist faux apologies. They will usually not apologize for their behavior. But if they do apologize for their behavior, it's only because they're trying to manipulate you into something else. Remember, everything that a narcissist does is a manipulation. So if they do apologize, it's because they are trying to future fake you. They're trying to get you to do something. They're, not going to ever undo that behavior that they did. They will definitely do it again in the future. So whatever it is that they did, let's say they called you a name, they will definitely call you that name again in the future. Let's say that they, whatever it is that they did, they cheated on you, I'm sorry, it won't happen again. They will definitely cheat on you again. So, they interrupted you when you were talking. Oh, that was horrible. I shouldn't have interrupted you. They will definitely interrupt you again when you're talking. So their apologies are completely meaningless, and you should, definitely take them with a grain of salt, because it's a lie that they want you to believe that's just crap, right? Narcissists are liars. That's what they are. Okay. The next lie that they want you to believe is that it's all your fault. For example, they might get fired from work, or that they have poor performance at work, or something like that. They will want you to believe that that's all your fault because you were, giving them lots of stress. And because of so much stress at home, they can't perform at work. And therefore, that's your fault because they're making lots and lots of mistakes at work or something like that. They aren't making the sales at work that they're supposed to be making. That's your fault. Anything that happens bad in their life, they'll say that it's your fault. They got super angry and did something that they weren't supposed to have done, hit walls, drove too fast, whatever, got a speeding ticket. That's your fault. They will cheat on you and say that was your fault. I ended up having to cheat on you because you weren't a good spouse. If you had been nicer to me, if you had been more attentive to me, I wouldn't have cheated on you. So therefore, that's your fault. That's a lie that narcissists want you to believe. The truth is, had they had more integrity, had they been a better person, they wouldn't have needed to cheat on you. If you had just done what I wanted, I wouldn't have had to hit you. That is, again, a lie they want you to believe. The truth is, their behavior is their fault. They need to take responsibility for their own behavior, just as you have to take responsibility for your own behavior. Okay. It's a lie that narcissists want you to believe. The next lie that narcissists want you to believe is that you are being too sensitive. Again, narcissists will invalidate your feelings. They will tell you that you are being too sensitive. And by the way, they are ridiculously oversensitive. I mean, you can say something that's completely innocuous, and they'll say that you slighted them in some way, that you had some crazy tone. And I always joke that narcissists hear tones like dogs hear whistles. Like, even if there's no tone, they hear tone. And you think, I didn't have anything with tone. They'll tell you that you were shouting and you didn't even shout. And they'll say, you're delusional, you were shouting. They'll start shouting at you and you'll say, please don't raise your voice. And they'll say, I was just matching your tone and you didn't shout ever at all. But you can't ever shout. They'll tell you you're being too sensitive when they're the ones who are ridiculously sensitive. When they said something that was horrible to you, like you have a massively huge behind or something, and you'll say, please don't say that. And you'll say, oh, it was just a joke. Stop being so sensitive. It was just a joke. Ha 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 ha. They add like ha to the end of a sentence, and that's supposed to be funny. You can't take a joke. Come on. And I've actually heard teenage girls with their boyfriends say things like, oh, that's just a joke that we have between us. They'll actually, go along with it and say that it's okay. Don't do that. Don't say that it's okay. Don't gaslight yourself. Those are red flags. These are lies that narcissists want you to believe. If it's hurtful, then it's hurtful. It's not okay if you're being disrespected, okay? You're not being too sensitive. They are being hurtful. So don't allow your feelings to be invalidated. Jokes at your expense are not funny. When they say you're too sensitive, that's not true. Don't use jokes or things like that as an excuse to invalidate your feelings. And when they say things like, oh, my attempt at humor, I'm sorry for my attempt at humor or something like that,
That's not an apology. That's not an apology. You know, an apology is, I shouldn't have said that. That was disrespectful, period. So you're being too sensitive is a lie that narcissists want you to believe. If you agree with me, put liars in the comments right now. Liars. They are liars. These are lies that narcissists want you to believe, right? Lies that narcissists want you to believe. All right. So the next lie that narcissists want you to believe is that you are imagining things. So huge. So huge. I actually had a client in my law practice watch her husband. She followed her husband with a woman all the way to a hotel, go into the hotel. They stayed in the hotel for a couple of hours. She sat in the car, watched her husband and the woman come out of the hotel, told the husband that she saw the woman and him go into the hotel, stay in the hotel, go out of the hotel. And then the husband said, you're imagining things. That didn't happen. That they did go in there, but they didn't do anything in the hotel but talk. That's all they did was talk while they sat in the hotel room. And she said, okay, that she believed him. I'm telling you that that is a massive gaslight. And these are lies that narcissists want you to believe. You're imagining things that didn't happen. You're mistaken. I would never do that. The narcissist gaslights you into doubting your own reality. That's what they do. So, you know, and when it happens over and over and over again, you start to believe these things. You start to believe that you're crazy. And I think that you have to just start remembering, you have to start to push back on yourself and go, no, that is not true. That is, your reality is different than mine. We see things differently. That is not how it happened. That is not what I'm seeing. All right. So that is another common lie that narcissists want you to believe. You're imagining things. Another lie that narcissists want you to believe is it's not a big deal. It is not a big deal. The narcissist will try to downplay the severity of their hurtful behavior by telling you that things are not a big deal. They might say something like, it's not a big deal if I cheat on you because I love you. The other person didn't mean anything to me. You're the one that means everything to me. The other one, it was just sex. You are the one that I love. So it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. It is a big deal. And that's a lie that they want you to believe. Oh, you know what? It's not a big deal if, you know, I made a big mistake at work. You know, we lost some money. It's not a big deal because I can get it back. You know what? It is a big deal because it's an integrity issue. You know, they get you to not focus on what is the problem. These are lies that they want you to believe. And they don't want you to see the truth. The truth is that their behavior is not acceptable. That's the truth. So it is a big deal. So these are lies that the narcissist wants you to believe. And the last one is the biggest one and the most important one here. And that is the final lie, the biggest, the hairiest, the scariest lie that the narcissist wants you to believe. And this is the one when you're trying to leave, you're trying to get out the door, you're trying to discard, you're trying to finally escape. Your hair is on fire. You're like in survival mode. It's like, let me get out of here. And that is, the narcissist will say, I'll change. I can change. You'll see.
it will all be different. That is a massive lie. It is a future fake. They will promise. They will promise to do anything. They will promise to be better in the future. You'll see. I know I've been acting this way. You'll see the better version, and they'll be better for a little while, which tells you, by the way, that they know how they're supposed to be. They know how they're supposed to act. They know that their behavior is wrong, but it won't last. It'll only last for a little short period of time, and then it'll start to come back. They will never keep their promises. They will start acting the way that they were before, only it'll be worse. It'll end up being worse. And it will be, so much more heinous than it ever was in the past. The narcissists aren't capable of change, and it's going to end up being spiraling. So know that narcissists can't change. That is the worst lie of all.